Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be doing my West Coast Eagles 2024 AFL Fantasy Team Preview, going through all of their, well, most of their guys, the highlighted guys, the guys I have favorited, and some, I think there might have been a suggestion or two for this one off that tweet that I had put out a couple of days ago now, I believe, from the time of recording. But this will be seen about 4 or 5 days later, something like that. But anyway, before we get into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, as most of these should be going, I think they'll all be going live at 12 on the day of they'll be going live 12 each consecutive day for the one after the other of the reviews, and that should be actually good timing. So just keep notifications on so that you know when they come out at 12 p.m. As I sometimes do have a different schedule. I don't obviously have a concrete schedule down at the moment, as these are most of my videos are recorded on the same day that they go out, but these ones are pre-planned, so they should be going out at a pretty consistent time each day. But anyway, let's get into the video. I might actually have to set this up on the run because I've just realized that, but I could do this. It's not too difficult doing this, as this is just after the recording of the Western Bulldogs one that you would have seen yesterday. But anyway, let's get into it. So Tim Kelly, I don't really see much upside in him, to be honest with you. If you look at his stats across the whole season, you'll see here the highest of 142, lowest of 67. So that really is going to discourage what I'm about to say. But if we just go here and grab him up, and then we actually look at his fixtures, not his match stats from last year, you can see, take out that 79, 102, 104, 142, take out the 142 for this purpose, 100, 97, 108, 96, 101, 96, 89, 112, 99, 107, 108, 88, 66, 67, 83, 112, 71, 100, 111. If you look at the 85 to 115 bracket, you've got 1, 2, 3, still scrolling here, 4 and 5 games out of the 22 that he played that are outside of that, and only one, maybe even two, make 2 of the 5 that I can see here are 2 of 5 or 2 of 6 of the games are just outside of that range by another 5. So it just shows to me that he doesn't have the potential upside. Like, his second top score for the year, if I'm looking at this correctly, is a 112 it looks like at the moment. A 112 looks like his second top score for the year, where he did that a couple of times, and that just isn't enough to be groundbreaking for me. And I think he only really has potential of 3 or 4 points of upside in his game, if you factor in the fact that I think Matt Flynn is a better ruckman than Bailey Williams. I haven't looked deep down at the stats, that's just what my eye says to me. And so potentially maybe 3 or 4 points of upside just because he's a better ruck and he gets more hit outs and stuff like that. But I don't really see much more than that, to be honest with you. So that's why I wouldn't be going for Tim Kelly, and I think that there are much better guys, to be honest with you. The next up is Liam Duggan. If we go down to Liam Duggan, I probably should have done this the other way here. Where is he? Duggan's going to be up the top here. There we go. You can see 96.3, and the basic question with Liam Duggan is, where do Hurn's points go? He averaged 80 in his final year. So 80 points has to go somewhere, and I'm not just going to say 80 points is going to go down the drain. I think it will go somewhere, because I think that they will still go with that slow game style that you've seen, and it's just a question of what is Duggan's role going to look like. Because if we look at the CBA's split and we look at West Coast Eagles, you'll see here with Duggan, he actually started to get some games where he had CBAs, which was really weird. 16% in the end, 99 CBAs, still much lower than like Dom Sheed, Bailey Williams, Tim Kelly, obviously Reuben Ginbey. Those guys did a lot of the heavy lifting. But if we look at this as well, you'll see that the kick-ins as well for the West Coast Eagles, you'll see Shannon Hurn took 92 kick-ins. Witherden took 89 and Liam Duggan took 62. So where are 92 kick-ins going to go? Are they going to go to straight to Witherden? Are they going to go to a Duggan? They could be an even split there, so potentially there is 43 say kick-ins there that he plays on from, so that's 129 points or something like that. So say 130 points, which in 20 games, so there's potential 6 points upside there if he takes all the kick-ins or something like that. So there's some upside there, but that is, and then you have potentially other upsides in the fact that he may gain a couple more of the marks when they're just in general distribution play, which could get him another, say, 3 or 4 points per game. So there is a potential, if he does take on the role, and I think he will, that he does have a potential 10-point upside. But I just think that there is a very, very inconclusive what's going to happen here. And I think we don't know what's going to happen with Witherden, we don't know what's going to happen with Hurn, and Hurn obviously retired. We don't know what's going to happen with Duggan, and we don't know what's going to happen with, I just want to throw a name out there, Brady Hough. I don't know what's the split going to be there, as I really like the look of Brady Hough as a distributor. I think he plays pretty well. I'd like to probably have just another look at his sort of advanced numbers to see how his splits are, but I think he is one that if I actually go here and I just go to West Coast and then I go to Brady Hough and then I just go to his stats, I just want to see quickly just before we move on to actually him in a second, whatever his disposal efficiency is off the charts, Brady Hough, so they probably should be going to him anyway. But yeah, no, that is the biggest question with Liam Duggan. Then we go to Alex Witherden, and I'll just do something rather like this, and then go to Hough as well as here Alex Witherden, who is up the top here. This is why I should have pre-planned it, so that it was a pretty flow-on effect that you had in the Western Bulldogs one. But you see here, Witherden, 88, 87, in the COVID year 77.8, which if you actually equate that with the 1.25 bonus is 97, so shows that he can do it. The big question with him is he going to be that sort of absolute junk guy that he has been in the past, or is he going to even get a game? Do they really want Witherden there? If we look at if we go back a step here and we go to his advanced stats, you'll see that his disposal efficiency 85%, but that is mostly off junk kicks, to be honest with you. So it is up there with Hough in disposal efficiency. But I don't know if they really want Witherden to be playing, or whether he'll be actually fighting for a spot with a lot of people, even though he did play 22 games. So he did play all of the games, unlike 2022, but it'll be interesting to see what his role really stacks up as he could be one that really does take off and average a junk 90 or a junk 100, to be honest with you, as he did do for a large part of the 2022 season. We look here, he did cop a 0 in the 22 season. So if you just take 13 times by 88, what is that? Divided by 12 times by 88. He did average 95 in the 2022 season. If you take out that 0, so it does show that he can do it. He's gone basically a 90. What did I say? 97 in the COVID year and 88 in 9 games in 2021. Or did he cop an injury somewhere there? Doesn't look like it. Maybe a little bit in round 16 and round 21. But then you can just see that he is able to score it pretty much an 88 or so better. So he does have, I reckon, 10 points of upside, 12 points of upside. I just don't want to touch it, given that I don't really rate Witherden as much as other guys, to be honest with you. And if you look at Hurn and Witherden's 2023 games side by side, it does seem that whenever Hurn had a good game, Witherden had a good game, and that does coincide with their kicking it back and forth mantra that they had. And however, when Hurn was out, Witherden didn't actually have that good of a game. So it'll be interesting to see, because that rise wasn't really evident when you look back at the numbers there, what happens with Hurn being out for Witherden's sake, or whether someone else takes the kickouts that Hurn was vacating basically, or is it going to be Witherden that does take most kickouts? So that is one thing to look at. The next player obviously is Hoff here. If we go back here, there we go, and look at his fantasy profile. This will be the third year for him. First year average 51, second year 61.5. Will be interesting to see what he averages in his third year. Could he be the 75, 80, 85 that you sort of need from a guy? Could he just flat out replace Shannon Hurn and his sort of numbers there? I don't necessarily know, but I think he could do that. He's shown improvement, as we see, 50.8 to 61.5. Could it be a 15? I don't know if it could be a 15 improvement next year. Especially when you have guys like Chapman and Williams and Caulfield all having discounts or position changes to higher scoring abilities or positions, etc. on their current average. It is really hard to get in Brady Hoff at that 558k, I believe he's priced at. So it's really hard to grab him over the likes of if we go down here and we grab and we look at the Hoff situation, 555k for him. It is hard to look at that over the likes of Chapman and Williams, which we'll get to in the later recaps. And it is just a preseason, I guess, watch on his role and to see if he does get that sort of round 1 22 best 22, as he has only had a couple games where he has had over 10 marks, and he's averaged 5.7 marks per game, where we really need to see that 8 to 10 marks if he is going to be that mid-pricer next season. The next guy to look at is Reuben Ginbey, and he averaged 58 in his rookie season, which was all right, but his body just basically gave out on him, and he had the hamstring injury, which he required surgery on, which basically ended his season, if I remember correctly. And the thing that I've been hearing and seeing is him being in better shape than he was even at last season, and we saw him at the start of last season look the best shape of all rookies, basically. So is he able to shoulder that 60% CBA role throughout the whole season, or is he going to be managed on like a 40% to try and get him through the whole season and then push up to 60% in his third year, where he could have a massive breakout in his third year? It is interesting, and I wonder if he can do that. And then if you look at his first 3 games, then they're all that you really need to see for Reuben. If we look at his first 3 games here, if we go down to Reuben Ginbey here, you'll see his first 3 games, if it will load, AFL Fantasy profile, you can see first 3 games, 92, 71, 82. That is an average of what? Basically 80. I think it is actually an average of 81 or 82. So yeah, he has shown that he has massive upside. That would be 24, 25 points. Whether he can hold an 80 average for the whole year is a different question. But I reckon if he wanted to be the big mid-pricer that we really needed, I reckon anything over 75 is a win for him. And if you actually look at the CBA numbers, he did have a 60% CBA across the first 3 games. Whether he can hold that through the whole season, or as I was saying, he gets dropped to like a 45 or 50% CBA, we'll have to wait and see, but it will be interesting, especially seeing his time on ground at 70% average time on ground. It's a little bit worrying, but hopefully if you actually look at that, he did have an 87% time on ground. If I actually bring this up for you and we go down to, it will be Ginbey is somewhere around here, Reuben Ginbey here, you can see time on ground 72, 77, 87, 73. So he did have 70% here overall, but that is affected by a 10% time on ground. That's roughly 4 or 5% across the whole year. Around 3% or 4% across the whole year, that average got taken out of it with that 10%. So that's up to 73, 74% if you of upside in time on ground, which should be, and that injury also took away about 2 or 3 points per game on average. So that's already 2 or 3 points of upside. So I reckon he's already probably, with the shape that he's in, and if you take away the injury game, I reckon he is already a 65 point per game guy. It's just whether can he get that push in year 2 towards that 75, 80, that will really make him a mid-pricer, and that is the risk of selecting him basically, is that he does have the points per minute to be able to be that top tier guy. It's just whether can he get that can he get that time on ground up towards that high midfielders, like that other midfielders around his price range? Because if he does, then he is going to average 75, 80 plus, which will be absolutely huge. So that'll be an interesting one to have a look at. The next guy is actually Elijah Hewitt. So if we go down to Elijah Hewitt as well, an interesting one to look at. And I don't know now if I'm pretty sure Didac he put Elijah Holland and not Hewitt, so I just want to double check that, because I put a response in and it could be completely off if he put in Holland, thankfully, not Elijah Hewitt. Elijah Hewitt does have you can see with Hewitt, if I go up here, you can see this mid-forward status, which is huge for him. Mid-forward means that he's actually probably valuable, priced at 46. And if you actually look at his games here, you will see a 4 score here, as well as an 11 score here, and a 17 score. If you take out, and if you actually think about it, right, this will probably take me a little bit to explain, but the obvious upside is that he's a forward, and due to the forward exodus that we had in the forward line from last year, this sort of leads to those 600k guys of like a Taylor Adams or a Richelli or a Zach Fisher or some guys that I mentioned in the first one. They're sort of those almost premium guys or lower end premium guys, even though they're 600k, which is almost a mid-pricer for the for the midfielders and almost the defenders in itself. So they're almost premiums at in the forward line already at 600k. So at 418k, I believe he's priced at, he's almost just a mid-pricer in itself, even though 418k is on the lower end and almost rookie priced. So there's that, and if you look at the numbers, he could easily hit 15 or 20 above his current average of 46. If you take out that one sub appearance that we looked at here, this GWS game, if I remember correctly, then the injury game as well, this 11 here that I've got up here, and then that 46 turns into a 52.7 already. So that's already 6.4 points of upside already just by looking at that. If you look at the Melbourne game as well and take that out, I believe he jumps up even further. And I think you could easily see him average 60 to 70 points. I don't think that is outrageous to say that he will average 60 to 70. That is 24 points, 14 to 24 points of upside. And if you look at his 50% plus CDA games, you see that he would average 57.6. That's already an 11-point upside, which doesn't have any other discounts with it, with the injury or the sub games, etc. But that just shows that he does actually have an ability to score. If he does get that 50% CBA time and he gets that natural improvement, that 57 turns into a 65 or so, then that sort of hits that range that I was saying, that 60 to 70, where he almost is clearing 20 above his average, which could be huge in itself. And then the last guy that we talk about is the one and the only Harley Reid. His numbers actually aren't that good in the under 18s. I believe it's only a number 1 pick, and because he's classified as a forward, it's just huge value there. But he wouldn't be as valuable if he was actually a midfielder, just because of his actual numbers and how they stack up. But I believe he could get a role that's actually better, more in fantasy inducive, being off the halfback potentially, just because of his ball skills. But he did only rack up 80 fantasy points per game in the under 18s carnival. But I'm led to believe he played a majority not key forward, but just a majority forward, and only racked up 19 touches and 4 marks a game. Only 19 touches. So he could easily just be a 60 guy, but at 300k, being priced at like 32, he's still going to be of value. So I still think that's why he's going to be 67% owned. He's going to be 75% owned by the time that the game round 1 kicks off. But I still think he is definitely of value in this West Coast side, as he could be played anywhere and still probably put up 60 points per game. And as a forward, that is going to be so valuable as we're looking at guys like Isaac Heaney to see if he can get up towards that 90. Sort of 85 to 90 is where this top 6 for the forward, top 8 for the forward is going to be. And as long as you get probably the top 4 forwards right, which I'm seeing as sort of
those guys that are going to be those 90 plus sort of guys, then it's really just getting another 2 out of the top sort of 10 guys in the forward line that you got to get right. And I think Harley Reid will allow you to get that cash, as he will go up to, I reckon, 550 or so K, and then just use a bench guy to get up towards the, even guys like Connor McDonald could be a guy that jumps up this year as a forward. You got guys like McRae, Flanders, Dylan Moore, Isaac Heaney, Zach Fisher if you don't start him. Those guys should be the top sort of 8 or so forwards that you need to jump Harley Reid up to. But we'll see what Harley Reid produces, because if he's playing off the halfback, he'll average like 80, but if he's playing as a forward, he'll probably average like 55, 60. But we'll just see where he plays, as he's still 25, 30 points of upside as a rookie in whatever position he plays. But that is the second review of the AFL Fantasy team previews. Then we have the Sydney Swans up next, which is going to be a larger one just because they did some trading, and my dog's starting to go nuts, but hopefully I'll get this conclusion out before that. So that will probably be a 25, if not 30-minute episode, that one. And then you've got St Kilda, and then, so those are the ones I've all drafted by the 30th that this is being recorded on, and so the other scripts will be drafted on the 31st, the 1st, etc., and the 2nd, and then you'll have to wait for basically till the 14th or something like that for the next ones to be drafted, etc. But the video I should have enough done that it will cover the up until about the 14th, which I'm led to believe is around the Essendon Fremantle Geelong stage, somewhere around there is around the previews that you'll get me basically drafted by the 2nd. So any other players outside of any of the players that you've got from Essendon, Fremantle, Geelong downwards, I would be getting those suggestions on that Twitter post in quickly, because those will be recorded in the next couple of days. Outside of that, you've got Adelaide, Brisbane, Carlton, Collingwood, and probably Essendon are the teams that won't be recorded prior to the about 3rd, so you can leave those ones later, but I'd still grab them in, get them in early in case I do record a lot more of the team previews beforehand. But anyway, that is the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.